Good morning. Welcome to Creative Mornings. It is so exciting to look out and see not only a packed Orange Street Studios, but I love seeing people creating on an early Friday morning. So those of you that haven't dove into your supplies yet, I just want you to know, there's no asking. Like, we're giving you permission today while Lisa talks to create and to do something for yourself. And guess what? It doesn't have to look good. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just fun. It's just for you to get your creative energy moving on a Friday morning. So thank you very much for being here today. I'm not the usual host for Creative Mornings. Our new host, Sarah Carroll, had a previously scheduled family thing that she had to go to. So I'm stepping in as a sub today. My name is Lauren Herman. I'm on the planning team for Creative Mornings. I want to shout out our planning team really quickly. We're a small but mighty group. Mike in the back, former host, still on board. Kara Potter, checked you guys in. Incredible. Angela Luxembourg over here, who's coffee and donuts. These are the people that plan these meetings for you every single month. If you're interested in helping out and want to be on the plan team, you can email us at columbia@creativemornings.com. Super easy. columbia@creativemornings.com. I know people might wonder, like, what's the time commitment? All these things. We meet once a month for about an hour. You might have a couple of planning meetings, maybe 2 to 3 a year. But other than that, there's lots of roles for people, whether you just want to show up on a Friday and help set up, and greet people as they walk in the door, or if you want to be a part of planning speakers, we could use your help. So note that email address and let us know if that is something that's interesting to you. We do have a global sponsor for Creative Mornings, Adobe. Adobe really fuels global creativity. So they have come on board with Creative Mornings in the last year. And they are doing some really incredible things for our organization that are free to you guys. So if you registered through the Creative Mornings website for today, you'll get an email for all the cool things that Adobe does. So webinars, newsletters they send, so much information for creative people and non-creative alike, because let's face it, we're all creative. So thank you, Adobe, for sponsoring Creative Mornings. I also want to give a big, huge shout out to Orange Street Studios. Yay! They're incredible. They are our space host. They do this for free for us and our group, and we could not put this on without them. So thank you to Orange Street Studios. We always like to show this slide for those of you who are seasoned Creative Morning participants. This is an international organization, so people are meeting all over the world during the month of October. I checked it last night to see who was meeting today. Kansas City is meeting today. Cologne is meeting today. There were, lots of really interesting places. I think Phoenix was on the list for today. So lots of places are meeting right now, talking about the same things that we're going to talk about, which is pretty cool. How many of you are first-time Creative Mornings participants today? Oh, nice! We love new faces. Maybe you came because you just saw an announcement or you saw it on Instagram, and also maybe you came because a friend drove you here. So if that's the case, we hope that you have such a great time today that you bring a friend next time. And also, maybe today with our new setup, because we have materials with tables, you'll actually make some friends while you're here. So we hope that's the case. Normally, we start Creative Mornings with an icebreaker. So if you're a seasoned participant, you know that we like to ask a question to kind of get things going and get people talking. We are going to do that, but we're gonna make a twist in it today, and our speaker is going to do the icebreaker. That might involve some materials at your table, I'm not sure. So just so you know that that's coming. Another thing we always do is read the Creative Mornings manifesto. I'd like a volunteer, if at all possible, to read our manifesto for this month.
Oh, go ahead. Are you?
Anybody?
Trevor will do it.
Trevor, did you just get volunteered? No, you got voluntold.
That's a husband thing that he sees. Trevor just started taking improv classes, so maybe he'll do an improvisational. Maybe just use his radio voice.
Everyone is creative. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. Check. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving the D word. I'll say it, we believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, in learning from others, in hugs and high fives. Everybody right now. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. Everyone is welcome. Woo!
Okay, now to the fun part. This month's theme is soft. It was selected by the British Columbia chapter and is illustrated by Leah McInnes. One thing to note, which is super exciting for all you new faces out here, is that next year in 2026, our chapter was selected to create a theme. Yay! So next year, we're not going to tell you all the details right now, but it's coming. We will have our own illustrator from our community who gets to illustrate the theme that was selected by our chapter, and that will be seen by global audiences around the entire world. So it's huge. We're going to plan something big for it. It's going to be awesome. So put a note in that. What I love about Creative Mornings themes is they're both timeless and timely. This month is really no different. The description from headquarters posed an interesting question that I wanted to share. What if our work was softer? What would we make with a little tenderness? Art that truly resonates, innovations that heal instead of harm, communities that hold one another instead of tearing other people down. So our world can feel like it demands hardness and rigidity, but softness, in my opinion, is a courageous choice. This isn't weakness, it's a form of quiet resistance, a deeper strength found in empathy, creativity, and a willingness to heal. Our speaker today is the perfect guide for this exploration. As a researcher with a PhD in natural resources, she has dedicated her work to investigating the why behind tough problems, using her insights to tell stories that bring about creative and gentle change. The same ethos is the heart of her work, and I'm gonna coin it. You're kind of an artivist right now. Yeah. The heart of her work is an artivist and a co-founder of the Como Craft Cycle Collective. She looks at materials our world has maybe deemed hard, useless, and ready to be discarded, and through the soft power of creativity, she transforms them into something new and valuable. This is a tangible act of healing for our community and our planet. This intersection of thoughtful research and creative activism is the very definition of soft strength. It's no surprise that her work has earned her nominations for 2 Columbia, Missourian 2025 Progress Awards in both sustainability and the arts. Please join me in giving a warm and soft welcome to Lisa Groshong.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited that you're here, and it makes me so happy to see all this activity going on. So we're going to start with another activity. There should be on your table some paper that's like postcard size, that's like scrapbook paper that may be blank on one side, or any kind of paper. Just grab a piece of paper and a marker. Any paper is fine. Piece of paper and a marker. And if you need some more, I have lots more. Does anybody need paper still? Cool. If you need some, I can grab you some. Okay, so grab a marker and a piece of paper, and take just a second, once you have your paper in your hand, take just a second to think about yourself as a creative person. So maybe just take one long breath while you think about that. And then take your marker and your piece of paper and just scribble on it. So this shouldn't be your card because you may end up cutting this up, but just your other piece of paper, scribble on it for just a second. And no rules, no nothing, just scribble on your paper just for a second. You don't have to think about it, just draw a scribble. Beautiful. And once you have a scribble on your paper, I'm gonna wait until everybody has a scribble. Just scribble for a second. Good people, hurry up and scribble. Okay, once you have a scribble on your paper, take a look at it, a really hard look at it for a second, and maybe switch colors with your marker. And where in your scribble can you pick out a letter? Does a letter jump out at you? And once you find that letter, use your other colors to kind of trace that letter, draw that letter that jumps out at you. Whatever letter it may be. And you may need to scribble a little bit more, or just you may have to squint real hard to see the letter, but there's a letter in there somehow. Find that letter. Okay, has everybody got a letter? Oh, I love it. People got letters. Okay, oh, beautiful. I love it. Cursive, block printing, all kinds of letters. Okay, now, think about, remember that you just thought about yourself as a creative person. Look at that letter and think of a word that describes you as a creative person. No right or wrong answers, just what's a word that describes you, starting with that letter, as a creative person. And somebody want to shout out their word?
Sassy.
Sassy! Yeah, baby. That's a great way to start. What was that?
Loca.
Loca. Love it. What else?
Unique.
Unique. Love it. What else?
Experimental.
Experimental. How about something, put it in the peanut gallery back there?
Optimistic.
Optimistic, love it. Yeah, you gotta be optimistic when you're 85 and you're still chugging along. That's my dad, by the way. What else? How about from this game? Gradual. Ooh, I like that. The slow and steady, the soft, perhaps, approach. Anybody else?
Adventurous.
Adventurous.
Soft.
Soft.
It's a little on the nose.
It's on the nose. That's it. She was inspired. Anybody else?
Fearless.
Fearless. Yes. Love it. You're welcome to keep this if you want to, and it's a memento of your time today. But there are also some scissors on your table. If you want to cut it lovingly into strips, you can. And there's also a few staplers, and there's lots of glue sticks traveling around. If you feel called to, you can cut it into strips and start making a chain. And I propose that we make a chain of all of our creative words and chain them together and keep it as a memento of our shared creativity and our shared sense of being together. Bless you, because I feel like creativity is something that, like many things, is better when it's shared among people, and it becomes bigger, it multiplies into a bigger thing when it's shared. So feel free to do that, and also there's lots of other materials on your table, and feel free to just play and tinker as I talk. I won't be insulted if you're messing around, because I'm personally somebody who has to mess around a lot when I'm listening, and so I don't take that as an insult at all. And there's lots of fun things on your table, so please knock yourself out. But I did promise that I would talk, and so I'm gonna talk, and hopefully not too fast, because I'm fueled, I will admit, on a lot of sugar and caffeine today. So I'll try not to talk too fast. If I do, give me the sign. But I'm gonna talk about Como Craft Cycle Collective. Hello, Trevor says goes to you. So Como Craft Cycle Collective, has anybody heard of us before? I know my friends have. Okay, that's fantastic. So I'm going to try to tell you how it started and where we were, how we got where we are, and where we're going. So it all started, to me, with when Trevor and I joined the Peace Corps in 2008. So we went to Zambia, and of course one of our first acts was to get matching outfits, of course. That's what you do. So we got assigned to a little village called Chidiza in Zambia. We were engaged in soft diplomacy. That's what Peace Corps is, right? Going and transferring your skills to the people of the country where you are assigned. And I was specifically assigned to be an education volunteer. And I won't say a lot about that other than to just note that it was I wasn't cut out to be an education volunteer. It was a little disappointing. Didn't play to my strengths. I wasn't fantastic at it, but I did find a way to kind of educate in a way by making arts and crafts. You know, I kind of leaned into my inner grade school teacher, a friend of mine, set some art supplies, and just with the kids in our compound, the house where we lived, we did some arts and crafts, including with chickens, which, you know, that's natural. But things really changed for me when Elizabeth and Bailey showed up at our door. Elizabeth was a community organizer in her tiny little village of Musalila, which is like 20 minutes up the mountain away from us in this totally isolated village. We're really off the grid completely, where there's no cash economy at all. People have no money. They often don't have a lot of food. She was running this little women's co-op where they had some pigs, so they had a little bit of income generation going on, but she wanted to know, you're Peace Corps, we know you're here to teach us things, what can you do for us? And I thought, well, shit. I don't know. But I thought, okay, well, we'll just figure out, like, what do they have, right? What can we do? So I knew I was crafty, I knew they knew how to do stuff. So I thought, well, somehow we can figure out something to do. So I went up to Musalila village, and there's no Michael's, there's no, Joann's, there's no anything. There's not even a recycling bin to go and dig materials out of, because they're not really part of the cash economy. They don't buy things really, but they do have some things. And one thing they have, is this. You may notice in the pictures, all the women, it's a modesty culture. Everybody wears a shitenje. Everybody wears a shitenje around the women wear a shitenje around their waist. They cover their bodies from their waist down. And so every woman has at least a couple of these cloths. It's just a length of cloth. They print them in Congo mostly. There's fancy ones and then not fancy ones. They cost $1 or $2 generally, but everybody has them and they pass them down. And sometimes they have like ones that are so old they're just like rags falling apart. So that was one thing we had. And we had scraps from these that tailors will take these and make them into other clothing. And so there were scraps. If you know a tailor, you can get a bag of scraps from them. So that's one thing we had. So the women knew how to hand sew a little bit, so I taught them how to make crazy quilts. So we started sewing just with hand stitches. And then also they had some of these old scraps and we were able to, they crochet already. They make these, I feel sorry for their little babies because it's hot as hell there. And then they crochet these little outfits for their babies. They're adorable, but those poor kids look like little baked potatoes. They're so hot. So they knew how to crochet, but they weren't thinking big. They were thinking little because that's what they could get. So I had a guy in another village whittle some crochet hooks out of sticks and taught the women just kind of how to think a little bit bigger with the skill they already had, but to make bigger things. So we started making rugs out of things like scraps of their shitenjes and other things. And they were able to actually sell some of those things to people either in other villages or some of the volunteers ended up buying some stuff. So that wound up being like, one tiny little success in Peace Corps. For me, that felt really good for me, but also it felt really good to actually transfer a little bit of a skill to the ladies. And then Trevor and I ended up moving to the provincial capital after our first year in the village. And this kind of idea of creating something with nothing continued. I went to work, I was working for Peace Corps kind of as helping other volunteers, but I also volunteered a little bit at this orphan school. So, Zambia, as well as like lots of places in the world, has a really huge AIDS crisis, HIV crisis. The rate was somewhere around 20% when we were there. So you can imagine how many orphans there are. So there's an orphan school run by this Italian guy who happened to be our neighbor. So I ended up helping out with them. Same problem kind of emerged though. We had all these kids who were like excited to make stuff, and we just didn't have any stuff to make stuff with. You know, we really didn't have a lot of raw materials. We'd be digging through our own houses being like, we've got some training manuals, let's cut them up. But you know, there just isn't a lot of stuff. But we did make some necklaces and that was really fun. And so it wound up creating and making art wound up being, to me, the most satisfying part of my entire Peace Corps experience. And I did bring some examples of things. You know, I noticed when I was thinking about doing this talk that most of the things that I brought back with me from Zambia are those exact crafts. Like, well, I mean, I didn't bring this back with me from Zambia, but a friend gave it to me. It's one of those bowls made of rolled up paper. This is from South Africa. It's the bottom of a soda container with sardine labels glued on it. This actually came from those ladies in Musalila. This is the materials they have. It's dirt. It's a bowl made of dirt. Like, this is literally the kind of materials that they typically have. There's some, feel free to come up after I'm done and talk and look, but like just things sewn onto old blankets, a basket made of bottle caps. This is something you could only make in the city, right? Because in the village there's no bottles, but in the city there's some bottles you can make stuff out of. So I was super inspired by all that stuff that I was seeing. And then we came back to the US, and I have to say, I was expecting a soft landing because we were coming back to Columbia, my family's here, you know, I just thought, okay, this will be familiar and comfortable. And I found that it was actually more of a harsh landing. And they tell you when you leave Peace Corps that there's gonna be this reverse culture shock. And I thought, that's stupid, that's not gonna happen to us, like, whatever. But of course it was very true. And one of the reasons, and I think this is true for a lot of Peace Corps volunteers, is you get used to living in a place where there just is not a lot of anything. And then you come back to the US and it's like, oh my God, there is so much. I mean, just walking into like Gerbs and standing in the cereal aisle, you're just like, holy crap. There is so much, and just like having to make that many decisions and just being confronted with so much stuff. We have so much stuff that it's actually a problem. And like, it's just, that's such a different mindset from being in Zambia, you know, where people are literally hungry, where they literally have to walk 20 minutes to get water, and we're flushing our toilet with drinking water. That was hard. You know, that's a really hard thing to get your head around. And another thing that was really, for me, really stark was, you know, having worked with people making crafts and doing creative things, you know, just struggling to figure out, like, where is anything, literally, that we can make crafts out of? And then I come home and I start unpacking my boxes of just boxes and boxes and boxes of craft materials, unused craft materials I've been saving and hoarding for my entire life. I mean, there's boxes of fabric, there's boxes of paste, there's stuff that's dried out because it's so old and I haven't used it. And I just thought, oh my God, this is a lot, right? And I started thinking, like, why? Why am I not using this stuff? And I know you probably have this experience too. Why do we not use our stuff? Does anybody want to just shout out some idea? Yeah.
It's not the perfect time yet.
Right?
Yeah.
Not the perfect time.
It's not the perfect project.
I don't have the right skills. It's not, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess up these beautiful materials. I don't want to mess up this beautiful blank sketchbook that costs a lot of money.
I don't want to waste it.
I don't want to waste it. Oh my God, that's a huge one. Yeah. Or you start making stuff and then somebody says, some well-meaning person who loves you says, oh, that's so cool, you should sell those.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so your craft, your hobby that's fun and like freeing suddenly becomes like, oh my God, I have to monetize this somehow. I can't just, you know, we're such a Protestant work ethic culture. We can't just like make stuff for fun and have it be junk. We have to like make it and sell it, right? So I think there's a lot of reasons, and I think they're good reasons. But nevertheless, it is, I think, really tragic, and it can be overwhelming. So at the same time, I started to notice all around me, there's this incredible tradition in the US that I'm sure you're aware of making stuff, and especially with recycled materials, because we weren't always as rich and full of stuff as we are now. This on the left is a quilt that actually is hanging on my wall at my house. It's made from someone in my family of scraps of fabric, right? So we have that exact same tradition of like looking for things that are considered waste and using them. The rag rugs, also, I promised Trevor I'd be really careful with this because it's made by his Uncle Al. Things like this. Yeah, the clipper ship made of Diet Pepsi cans. So, I mean, we do have this tradition. It's a long and I think wonderful creative impulse that we have. So all those things combined together, that was a long way to get into the main point of like this is where Craft Cycle came from, right? It came from the idea of redistributing craft supplies, teaching people skills to make things with what they have, or new things, and inspiring people, encouraging people to use what they have. Because we are so lucky, we're so wealthy, we have so much abundance in this country. Let's use it and appreciate it. So, after we came back from Peace Corps, a couple of things happened. I went back to school, and then Trevor and I ended up moving to Kansas City. And while we were in Kansas City, I went to volunteer with Scraps KC. Has anybody ever been to Scraps KC? It's amazing, right? Like, it's like the mecca of creative reuse. Huge warehouse full of just everything you can possibly think of. Things that are actual craft supplies, fabric and stuff, but also just wacky, weird things that somebody thought, somebody would use that. You know, the kind of things that you see on the walls here that are just like weird little trinkets. So inspiring, so fantastic, and the woman who runs it has been absolutely generous with this. Another thing that happened is, after Kansas City, we moved back to Columbia, and a friend of ours, Ashley, who's seen in this picture, who was in Zambia with us, moved back to Columbia, and she also is a crafter. She's a ceramic artist and a crafter, and she lived right around the corner, and so we started walking our dogs together, and we started talking about how cool it would be if Columbia had something like Scraps KC, and we started just thinking like, I bet we could do it, you know, maybe on a smaller scale, but I bet we could make it happen. And so the next thing you know, we did a soft launch. We started collecting stuff in her garage, and obviously there's limitations to that. You can see that our sale was quite cold. But we just decided to go for it, and we stuffed a bunch of stuff in her garage, and we started kind of a listening tour around Columbia, because our hope actually was that we would meet with a creative organization like the Art League maybe, or Access, or somebody, or City of Refuge. We went to Stephanie and begged her, please, this is a great idea, how about you take it over? Sadly, nobody was able to do that. Because, you know, nobody has space, nobody has whatever. So, and they all said, this is a great idea, we love it, we'll help you in however you can. And Stephanie was super supportive. I mean, Art League, that's actually, nobody would adopt us, sadly, but that's how we met Casey, and I'm glad she's not here because she may be mortified that I picked the most unflattering picture of her with her eyes closed, but that's how we met Casey through Kelsey at the Art League. That's not confusing at all. But Casey happens to be a nonprofit consultant, and she also had thought about starting something like Scraps KC, and she offered to help us, and so then things kind of got supercharged because she helped us file our 501c3 paperwork. She knew how to do all that stuff, and so then it sort of started to snowball. We went back to Scraps KC. Ashley and I spent 2 days there just learning everything we could from Brenda, who runs it, who's been fantastic and has offered to give us any information that we need. And then the next thing you know, oh my God, it's April, and we actually launched a Habitat. Like, we had the Chamber of Commerce and everything. So we have a tiny little store. Has anybody been to our tiny little store at Habitat? Please do check it out. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 8:30 to 4. So we have a little store. It's tiny, very tiny, like the size of a bathroom, basically, but we've been selling tons of stuff out of it, and I think we've really discovered that our theory that there was an audience for this has really come true, because we've been selling close to like $2,500 to $3,000 of stuff a month out of this tiny little space. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. And you know, really, I have to give credit to, like, we have the most amazing active board, and our volunteers have just been unbelievably active in doing the work of like sorting the stuff and pricing it, because we just have this tsunami of stuff coming at us all the time, and they just chug away at getting it all sorted out, priced, and over to Habitat so people can buy it. But like in every direction, it's just been incredibly well received. So our growth has not been soft. It's been really strong. It's been incredible. Just since April, we've also so we've been selling at the Habitat Boutique. We got a huge donation of beads that we're selling at Blue Stem. So if you're a beader, go check those out. We also will have an Art-O-Mat opening in hopefully by True False. That's our goal right now, but it'll have kits, I think, or other weird little things. So yeah, keep your eye out for that. That's coming. We actually own it. It's the old cigarette machine or candy machine from KOPM.
Wow.
So yeah. most recently seen it hit records. Yeah, so we're excited about that. Again, our volunteers have been amazing. We get so much stuff that actually last weekend we had a pop-up sale just to clear out because we were getting so much stuff. We have a space over on Garth where we collect our stuff and process it. It had gotten so full that you literally could hardly move in there. So we had a big garage sale last weekend. We made more than $1,400 just by selling excess fabric. So it's been amazing. Honestly, the support has just been unbelievable and just the excitement around it. You can see here, one of our volunteers screen printed our logo onto aprons for us. So it's just been so much fun. And there's so much, it's a creative group of people. So it's just been incredible. Tons of people came and bought our stuff. And then of course we're doing that teaching and inspiring piece of it as well. We have appeared at a bunch of community events. So Earth Day, we were at Zipper Fest, Art in the Park, just lots of those type of events to keep educating people and letting them know we're here and doing these fun little activities, bless you, to kind of encourage people just to play and tinker, just like get your materials out and make something. It can be whatever, but just get out there. We've had a couple of classes and that's our next big push. We wanna, in 2024 or 2026, our big goal is gonna be to really increase the number and intensity, the length of our classes. So we've done mending, we did a couple of rug twining classes with Stephanie at City of Refuge, including a woman who was learning how to rug twine and sold a rug right off of her loom, which is incredible. So kind of drawing that Peace Corps thing back, working with these refugee women to help them earn a little bit of money, people who aren't necessarily able to get out of the house to work but can do something at their house. So that's been an incredible partnership. Mending, rug twining. Rug twining is happening this weekend at Habitat. Darcy, who you saw in the last picture, is actually going to teach people how to build their own little looms out of scrap wood and then twine on top of those. So we want to do more classes, and if you have ideas for classes or if you want to teach a class, let me know. And then I think some of you already know we're also doing an art show in conjunction with the Columbia Art League. That'll happen. The bags have already been bought. We sold out in less than 12 hours overnight. So there was so much excitement around that. I mean, it was unbelievable. So in March of next year, we'll have a show in the South Gallery at the Art League that people bought bags of just junk and now they're being challenged to make something interesting out of it. So I've already seen some Instagram pictures of people making really cool stuff. So that's really fun. This is a picture of the stuff out of somebody's bag. So that'll be happening, and during that time, we're there over True Falls also. So we'll have some activities sort of specifically related to True Falls as well. So lots of excitement. We're really trying to build community as well as just selling stuff. To me, that's the biggest part of it. And that's where we're just going, onward and upward. We really want to be a resource for Columbians to not only to buy stuff, that's one of our big pillars, but also to teach the skills so that you feel empowered and you feel excited about making stuff with whatever you already have. And then to engage the community. We really think that as a group that creativity is something that can bring people together and can really inspire people to have conversations and just kind of use your hands and recognize our shared humanity in creativity and making stuff, even if it's just junk. I think there's something so freeing in just creating, whether it's something you want to keep or not. You don't have to keep anything that you're making here. You can just make it, we can recycle it, or maybe not recycle it in Columbia, but it's something we can recycle it. But just like the creative impulse, just let that out, and I think that will help us all create a better Columbia, a better Missouri, a better world. So we're onward. I would love for you to stay in touch with us. We're at comocraftcycle.org. We are on all the social media. We luckily have a young person who's helping with that. And I just found this on the internet. I thought it was funny. I was trying to find things with soft. Soft, it's strong, but don't get tattoos all over your body. But yeah, so that's all of our information, and we would love for you to be part of our organization. You can donate your stuff to us, you can volunteer with us, or you can please go buy lots of stuff. All of our fabric is half price at Habitat right now, so please go buy lots of stuff. Yeah, and the ends, that's all I got. We have
time for questions, so please ask away.
And feel free to just keep making stuff. Yeah.
Scraps KC does a lot to employ unhoused and support them. Is that any bit part of your guys' potential mission and hope?
At this point, our mission is basically since we're so new and we're just starting out, our basic mission is kind of to sustain our own organization. So at some point, we may have capacity to kind of add a secondary focus onto it. I know Scraps KC has done a lot of homeless outreach, and now they've sort of switched it to teacher outreach, so they use all of their proceeds to provide free supplies to teachers. So teachers who may not, teachers spend a lot of their own money buying like markers and all the supplies. So now they have a free store for teachers, and so all their proceeds go to that. And people do ask us sometimes, like, where does the money go that we're making? There's not that much of it. So hopefully we will save up enough. I am our first employee, so I'm getting paid to work 15 hours a week. So, yeah, it's kind of working a little bit more than that, but that's okay, because I love it, and that's why I'm doing it, because I love it. But we are hoping to be able to hire me full-time, and then hire another person, and then at some point, and then hopefully pretty near future, we would love to have enough money to rent a space so that we can move out of Habitat. As much as we love them and they love us, we're a little constrained there, and they really don't have any more space for us to expand into. So if we could find our own space, I think we're making enough money that we could, if we, we're bigger, we could be sustaining that. And so it would be a great problem to have enough money that we, had enough extra that we could start thinking about other things. I think the direction we'll probably go is into more of like helping refugee communities or other people who don't have access to art stuff, and that could take a lot of different forms. We have people who are really passionate about working with unsheltered or unhoused people, or people just who are kind of off the grid in terms of art classes, and we are focusing more on adult stuff because there is a lot of programming in Columbia for kids and a lot of financial support for that stuff, but there's not as much for adults, especially like basic sewing skills and things like that. That's a huge gap that we see. So that's kind of our first focus, and then once we're solvent in that area, then we'll hope for that to be our next big hill to climb, but we'll see. Yes?
How old were you in Peace Corps and what made you want to go?
Ooh, how old was I when I joined the Peace Corps, and what made me want to go? Well, so my husband Trevor's over there in the white shirt, and he and I went together. I turned 40 right when we left, so we were older, and we had already been married for 10 years at that point. So we both had actually wanted to do Peace Corps, I think since college. I think both of us actually had sent away for it used to be a paper application packet. Yeah, and I actually found mine that I had ordered, and then I started filling it out, and I was a journalism major, and I was like, they're not gonna want me. They probably would have, but I just thought, there's no way. So we kind of both deferred it, and then we both were in jobs that we didn't really love that much. And we thought, what the heck, it's a good time to do it. We've always wanted to do it. So I would definitely encourage you if you're thinking about it. If it's anywhere in the back of your mind, it's always a good time. It's never a good time, but it's always a
What's
good
the
time.
Peace Corps like funding wise and
Oh God,
in this
Karen wants to
current
know what the Peace Corps funding is like in this current environment. It hasn't gotten cut completely, which is miraculous. They actually are holding steady with funding as far as I know. There's new leadership, but it's still happening. I think COVID really did a big number on it, but they kind of shut down for a while, but they're kind of ramping back up. So I think there are volunteers in the field, and there are volunteers still going. So it's still happening, and hopefully it'll continue to happen. I'd be nervous about being overseas right now with maybe limited support from the US government, but it's still happening. There's a lot of other organizations also though, like there's a British kind of Peace Corps-ish organization that also takes American volunteers, so lots of options. VSO, I think, and there's also like Habitat for Humanity places people overseas too, so lots of other options. And I think Peace Corps is still happening. And maybe apply in 2 more years or something. Yes?
I think I heard you mention this, but I didn't hear it clearly. Do you also offer instruction in some of the things that people could do?
So Sherry wants to know if we offer instruction in some of the things people can do, and that's actually, so that's our next big push for next year. We would love to offer a class a month or more, and then also kind of the pop-up things, so kind of it's along 2 different streams. One is like the skill building, so like literally teaching people like how to sew, how to use watercolors, how to do whatever. And then the other piece of it is inspiring people. So just, you know, things like this, like where you sit down at a table and there's all the stuff, like let's just make something with no kind of prescription of what you're gonna make or how you're gonna use the materials, but just kind of a welcoming, friendly environment where people are encouraged to create however they want to. So those are the two things I feel like are equally as important as selling materials, you know, just creating that space for people. So we're hoping to get some funding to support that next year, so stay tuned. Get on our mailing list, because our newsletter is the best way to hear about everything. We do update our social media a lot, but newsletter is kind of like the first peek at stuff usually, because we really want our newsletter subscribers like to have first crack at classes and stuff. So if you want to be in the know, we didn't do that with the Cal show, which we maybe should have, but if you want to be in the know, newsletter is a great way. And hopefully we'll have lots of news around that coming up soon. Yeah.
If you had the ability to get like one headline news bit out to all of Columbia community about Como Craft Cycle, what would you want all of our community to kind of know? What would be
Okay, if we could get a news story out to Columbia. We're lucky in Columbia that we have a lot of journalists. So we actually have already had some really great news coverage, which I think is how people have found out about us already. I think right now, one of the big stories about Craft Cycle and the Habitat store, one reason we're a great partner with Habitat is that they, like us, really focus on keeping things out of the landfill and out of the waste stream. And given that Columbia doesn't currently have as robust of recycling facilities as we have in the past, and they weren't that great anyway. But the fact that we're keeping stuff out of the landfill, I think, is a huge story. We've been tracking, I think since the very beginning, I think we've kept roughly 12,000 pounds of stuff out of the landfill. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff. If you came to I should take a picture. If you came to our space on Garth, it's full of stuff. I mean, we just get stuff all the time. And one thing we're noticing is there's a couple different stories of people who come in. Oh, this is so beautiful. Thank you, Lauren. One thing is we'll get somebody who comes in and they'll be like, I have a donation. It'll be like this tiny little tote bag and stuff. And I'm always like, wow, that's it? Okay. But then we'll have people who are like, my aunt died or my mom died or somebody died. And oh my God, we'll get a carload or more. We got like recently 2 truckloads of stuff from somebody who passed away in Boonville. So I mean, when we get stuff, it's usually not just like a little bit of stuff. It is a lifetime supply of stuff. You know, I mean, I could fill our entire Habitat store with just what I have personally in my house. So, you know, that's the kind of thing we're getting. You know, we'll get like the beads donation. It was like, I don't know, 100 pounds of beads, high quality beads, like silver, like antique, vintage, semi-precious stones. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we get. We got like 70, with just hidden within that donation was 70 troy ounces of silver. Yeah, so I mean, we're getting like all of people's stuff. We got like probably 4 of those giant Rubbermaid totes of just like quilt patterns, like, or quilt kits, the kind that come with the fabric and everything. So I mean, we're just getting like so much stuff. And it's stuff that people are reluctant to donate. They've been holding on to it because they're like, I don't wanna just give this to Goodwill, especially if it's stuff like this, you know, a baggie of little stickers or whatever. A lot of that stuff, I think, gets thrown away if it goes to regular thrift stores. But with us, we know what it is. You know, if it's some weird sewing tool or something, we know what it is. If it's a half skein of yarn, we can bundle it with other stuff and sell it. So we, I think, are able to process a lot of the stuff that other places aren't and really, really keep it in circulation. You know, little jars of buttons. So, yeah.
What do you do with your overflow?
What do we do with our overflow? We try to sell it all, and that's kind of why we have the half price sale at Habitat right now. We think if we mark it down enough, somebody will take it. I think we will get a lot of it back eventually, but you know, so far we've thrown out very, very little, like truly things that are truly trash, you know, if it's buggy or stinky or like super stained or whatever, but really we've been able to cycle it through. We have had to put a pause on donations periodically, so right now we have a pause on donations just because we need to catch up. But I do think also when we have our own space, we'll be able to churn through things a lot faster. Because right now it's very bottlenecked because it comes in at Garth and then we have to price it and get it back over. And our space at Garth is really an office, not a warehouse, so like a space like this would be fantastic to be able to really churn things through. And then we'd be able to have volunteers there more often, cause like now, we're sort of limited by how often people can be at Habitat, just cause we have to have staff.
And would your space at Habitat grow?
Habitat does not have any more space for us, unfortunately. Yeah, they have a lot of their own, they get inundated as well with donations, so sadly, they don't have any more space, but, there's a lot of space in Columbia.
I was gonna say, like, I'm a realtor and I'm like, there's some buildings out there that
Yeah,
are not
yeah.
being used.
And here's my cup.
And if anybody needs to buy or sell. But, because I was gonna say, like, has there ever been any discussion of, sorry, I've been creating, so I've been in and out. Like sponsorships or donations in order to either purchase or lease some space?
That is definitely, I think, will be a big conversation at our strategic planning process that's gonna start. Yeah, we have started to sort of think about that in the back of our mind. Habitat just hired a new executive director who starts next week. At this point, I shouldn't say it's on camera, but we're not sure that the leadership, the board actually is aware that we're there. We think they are. So things might change for us at Habitat. Hopefully they're happy with us and they love us, because we do know that the current staff loves us, but I think our time there may be kind of coming to an end, mostly because we've just maximized how much capacity they have, and they've been so fantastic and generous with us. But yeah, we would love a new space. We just don't have a lot of money, but I think we may have to do a campaign or something.
Yeah.
And so get on our newsletter so we can hit you up for money next year.
And are you board run? Do you have a
We
board?
are board run,
Okay.
yeah, we have a board and we have one employee. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, really, the support has been amazing, so I have a lot of confidence that we'll be able to take that lead once we're able to find a space. Hopefully there's some place that's like a little cruddy, a little out of the way that we can afford, cause it doesn't have to be
Doesn't have to be
fancy.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be fancy. How big of a space are you looking for? I think we could easily fill a couple thousand square feet. I don't think we're ready for this much space, although we could fill it up.
Yeah.
Once you get the space, then I bet you'll be able to.
Yeah, I
pack
think
it.
we will definitely fill it, and we'd love to have a classroom of our own. We've had some, partners that have let us use their spaces, or we can rent for a very generous price, but it would be great to have our own space. And we'd love to, maybe have a little gallery too of recycled stuff to sell. I mean, we have so many ideas of things, we could fill the space for sure, but, it's keeping our dreams and our bottom line in alignment is gonna be the challenge. But we'll get
And
there.
where in town do you think it would be best to be
Where
set?
in
Like, what
town?
would be the ideal place?
I mean, I think the loop would be great. I think downtown would be great, but the parking is always a problem and being able to get in and out. Like, we definitely need, and it's not cheap. We need to be someplace that's ground floor that we can get stuff easily in and out, because a lot of stuff does come in and out. But the loop is really advertising itself as like a creative hub, and I know Carrie Gartner, we're gonna meet next week, I think, about just possibilities. There's some space out there, and I think it's a really growing and blossoming part of town, so someplace in that vicinity would be nice, but really, we're open. Someplace kind of central, so that it's close to all of our houses, we can go there. I think we have time for maybe one more question, if anybody has another question. Yeah,
Not to hog the question.
no, I love it.
What would be your number one ask from community to feel more supported in your dreams?
What would be our number one ask for the community to feel supported? I mean, to be honest, we feel super supported already. Like, to me, it just gives me like the shivers almost how incredibly supportive people have been, especially volunteers. I mean, we put the call out for volunteers, like for the garage sale last weekend. I emailed just our list of people who had already volunteered with us, and we had more people than we could even have capacity. We had more people than could physically move through the space. So like, people have been so supportive and so excited about this project. That's been incredible. Of course, with every nonprofit, it's just capital. Like, if we had more cash, we could get into our own space faster, or if, some wonderful benefactor knows about a space and would let us use it for free or for cheap, that would be fantastic too. So, it's like with everybody, we just need money. I have talked to a couple of groups who were like, we have more ideas for how you can get more stuff. That's okay, we have plenty of stuff. But I mean, bring us your stuff, but we don't need ideas about how to get more stuff. We got that part covered. Thank you so much. I hope that you have a really fun day.
Thank you so much. A quick housekeeping note. Just keep in mind, next month for our November talk, we will be out at Montminy. So we try to trade back and forth between Orr Street and Montminy. Also, it's super easy to put on your calendar. We're the third Friday morning every month. So just put it on your calendar. Keep coming. Thanks for creating with us and have such a great day. Thank you, Lisa.
And thanks for making this.